So I heard from a friend of mine that lives here in downtown that I think it was either the third or the fourth. I think it was the third.
Hmm.
Him and I wasn't there, but him and his roommates got super drunk and they were walking around downtown Oakland yelling, this big, beautiful bill is trying to kill us. It's trying to kill us. They're trying to kill us, which I think is an appropriate response, you know? Yeah. I think we should all be doing that. I mean, this is our version of doing that, right? This is our version of running down.
This is our version of doing that. Yep.
But
Agreed.
I really do think that the response should be that, because it's quite bad. Yeah.
Agreed. All right, I'll start us in.
Or maybe we'll end with that. I don't know. I don't know how to start.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to The Elephant. It's me, your host, Julian, and I'm joined once again by my co-host, Anthony. Anthony, how are you doing?
Hi, Julian. I'm doing great. I'm doing better. I'm sorry to have missed you guys last week, but Logan is excellent and was excellent, and I'm back. So
yeah, well, I trust that you survived whatever group of ninjas were trying to poison you last week.
I honestly think it's because of my work here. I really, really do.
That's because your work is trying to poison you.
No, podcast. The work on the podcast. The dozen.
Oh, I see.
No. This. The dozen views we get. I think one of them is must have gone back to Stephen Miller or something. And he's like,
I agree. Yes.
With this one, we will just take him out in a Korean restaurant.
Sounds good. Good.
Do you hear a high pitch noise sometimes, Julian? Am I being paranoid?
All the time. All the time I hear it. I usually think that it's just my sanity slowly degrading.
Yeah.
As I watch Fox News and CNN, MSNBC, and all
the
of
National Review. I read the National Review for fun sometimes.
But I thought that was just a natural side effect of that. Maybe that's what mesothelioma is. I'm not entirely sure. Like, I think that might be one of the side effects of mesothelioma. Apparently,
our diplomats
either
in
you
Cuba,
or your loved one must have it.
Yes. Our diplomats in Cuba, they thought that, they got diplomat's disease, which is the high-pitched noise, and they got nausea. Yeah, so there's a lot of experimentation with frequencies, and so yeah, I honestly think that because of that, I was targeted, Julian.
Yeah, well, you heard it here first, everyone.
Exactly.
This is where the targeting began for Anthony.
Oh no, this is just one of latest. We can do another podcast.
This is just the latest in a string of
the attempts on my life, Julian. Oh my goodness,
yeah.
We can fill a whole podcast with that. Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
Save some content for the next season.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Yeah, that'll be a side quest. That'll be a side episode.
Okay, great. Well, everyone for joining us.
Yeah, at the end, I'll tease you with one of them, and we'll tie it to this discussion somehow. Oh, I promise. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great to me. Sounds great to me. Okay, so thank you for joining us, everyone. Today, we're going to be talking about the new Magabill, hot off the press, that passed on Independence Day. Great celebration of our country's values and what we choose to spend money on. Mostly rich people, surprise. I didn't see that coming. But we're going to first do a little bit of a rundown of what's in this bill, because it's jumped through 2 houses of Congress, back to the House before making it to the president's desk, which he signed. And folks may be a little bit confused about what is or isn't in it. So, just like this is not an exhaustive list, but We got an extension of the Trump tax cuts from
Right.
2017, his first term, which
Yeah, I believe they're
are
permanent now, right?
huge, massive tax cuts. They are projected to give upwards more of $1 trillion to people making over $500,000. Right, so that is the very rich getting basically $1 trillion. They're
Well,
expected to cut Medicaid
there's some
equal amounts.
estimates that say that on average $12,000 per household above a certain income bracket.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Medicaid
While
is
cutting
getting
around $2,000 for poorer families on average, based on those cuts.
yeah, so like an equal and opposite transfer of wealth
Mm-hmm.
from Medicaid cuts to higher income earners. Perfect. Yes, they're cutting SNAP, which is the
Yes,
Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. This basically provides food to people making, in the lower income brackets of the country.
they've also
It's
instituted a work requirement.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
We'll get to
Yeah.
how they implement some of these cuts with the work
Mm-hmm.
requirements in a second. We're gonna do. They get rid of clean energy tax incentives, so they're phasing out, subsidies for EVs. So, if you guys want to buy a Tesla, now's your chance. I know everyone on this podcast is chomping at the bit, especially after our last episode,
I know, right? Yeah.
to get their hands on an EV. So
I was sitting on like
that was.
this
Mhm.
stockpile of of no Elon stickers that are now going to go to waste.
Oh,
Yeah, I
shame,
know.
shame.
I was planning on reselling them. Like blessed with
Yeah, the stock on the
yeah,
no Elon
yeah,
stickers also
uh-huh, yeah,
depreciating
yeah,
along with
exactly.
this incentive cut, and
Oh,
then
but
the
talking about Elon,
uh
ups to space exploration and Mars exploration. So there's that.
yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they are scrapping several programs to help people repay their student loans.
Right.
So there's all sorts of student loan forgiveness programs that are being scrapped as part of
You
this
heard it here
bill.
first. Just don't pay them, guys. Just stop. Just don't do
Yeah,
it. Just
actually,
yeah. Just
don't you
why?
get an education? Not
Yeah.
even worth it. Like,
Yeah,
take it
don't
from
do that.
us.
Yeah, yeah, don't do it. Just I don't know. Learn a trade. They get paid a lot.
Cobblers are in high
Yes,
demand.
or air conditioner repairmen.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, just don't repay them. Okay, just don't do it. Anyway,
They are giving
so this
several hundreds of billions of dollars. I think it's like in total somewhere around 170 billion to border enforcement. So that's
right.
money
Oh, and the wall,
for making,
and the wall as well,
yeah, money for the
because
wall,
that's important.
who unfortunately Mexico is not paying for. I was surprised to see that.
No,
I thought
we're paying
Mexico
for it.
really was going to pick up the
I
tab on
know.
this one, but we are paying 46 billion
Mm-mm.
towards the border wall, 45 billion
Mm-hmm.
towards immigration detention centers. So that's just 45 billion just to put immigrants in like
Right.
prison, basically. Uh, what
They
is it?
want
30
to
billion
deport a
to hire
million.
ICE. Mm-hmm.
Yes, they want to deport a million immigrants a year. That's their goal, which is
Yeah.
crazy. That's an insane goal. $10,000 signing bonuses for ICE agents. They want to do that.
Wow.
Yeah, I
$10,000
know.
just to become an ICE agent.
Signing bonus. Yes, so you can wear a
Crazy.
mask in downtown Los Angeles. Yeah, no. So yeah, talk about priorities, right?
Mm-hmm.
What else? What else is in it, Julian?
But some good news, they're increasing the child tax credit from
That's
2000 to
right.
2200 per
That's right.
child. So
That's right.
a little bit of
And
extra
afford that
change for
trip
those
to
of you.
Disneyland, maybe.
So, you know, get baby
Yeah.
making out there. You
Mm-hmm.
can cash in on
There's
that
$200
that
more in
extra
it for you.
$200
Yeah,
for
exactly. Exactly.
They are taking away taxes on. They're putting in place taxes on tips. They're taking away taxes on
they're
Social
taking that,
Security
and overtime. They're taking
uh,
taxes away from
and
everybody.
overtime. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Which was a campaign
I would.
promise, which was also Kamala
These are campaign
Harris'
promises. Yes,
campaign promises.
campaign
Yeah.
promises. Campaign delivered. I would
Mm-hmm.
say just don't work throughout most of the day, and then just wait till overtime. Just if you can manage it, just get it all in overtime. Get it all in tips. Just don't worry
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Yeah. Who would benefit from this the most? So, like a rich waiter slash Uber driver, I think,
Yes, the child of Hollywood celebrity.
with many children themselves. Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Who? What
That
else?
rare, that average American,
Yep. More federal lands will be leased for oil and gas drilling.
Mm-hmm.
Eliminates Pell Grants for part-time students. Uh, put some money towards air traffic control modernization and towards rural hospital funds. I'll get to the rural hospital fund in a in a bit.
And this is why
But
you tune into this podcast, for the Rural Hospital Fund allocation information.
strangely, my original name for the podcast.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good portion of the important stuff that's in this bill. Now, you know how I loathe calling it
Of course.
by the
No, I
BBB,
know. No,
right?
of course.
So
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
come up with a new name for it.
Ooh.
Anthony, are you ready for this?
Oh,
This is what
yes.
I'm going to be calling it for the duration of the rest of this podcast
Okay.
and
If I like
henceforth.
it, I'll adopt it. But, I'm going to be
Yeah,
fair. I'm going to be harsh but fair.
I'm calling it the Magabill.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah. You
Straightforward.
know,
I would have
because it's
called it
such a
the
big bill.
maggot bill, but sure. Sure. That's fine.
You're really good at this.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I
Yeah,
know.
I know. Magabill, I think it's short to the point. People know what you're
Mhm.
talking about. And
It is, however,
it brands
infested.
it.
It's infested with pork, especially for Alaska. Surprisingly enough, to coax
Oh,
Murkowski to
yes.
come over. There's so many
Hmm.
exceptions for Alaska. There's so many. She basically was like, okay, all these things won't affect us for like 2-3 years, right? And she
Right.
got it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's sort of hand delivered so that she would vote for it. So
Yeah. So Lisa Murkowski,
if you guys
senator
want to
from
do some cool
Alaska,
reading, go look at the provisions in
carve
there.
outs.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
they're fascinating.
Yeah. So this this MAGA bill for me has been a subject of so much angst over the past couple
Mm-hmm.
weeks, and
Mm-hmm.
I had to resist the urge to do a podcast on it because there's all these stages before a bill becomes a law,
Sure, sure.
and I really want to reserve talking about it before it was like finally complete, and we knew that there wouldn't be like any new changes, so we wouldn't be trying to play catch up or things that we said might not become outdated. But now this is what it is, right? It's passed and it's horrible. It's probably the largest transfer of wealth from the bottom 40% of this country to the top 10% in like our country's
Mm-hmm.
history, right? Uh,
Yeah, and it's going to fundamentally alter life in America for years.
yeah,
Yeah,
it increases the debt and deficit by astronomical amounts. I think the debt is
I think.
yeah, over the next 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Just an incredibly unconscionable amount
Yeah.
for a single piece of
For the
legislation to do.
fiscally conservative party, that is the Republican Party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then does that all so that they can strip millions of people. What is it? What's the estimates you've heard, Anthony? 10 to 15 million people from Medicaid,
Yes. Yes.
somewhere around
Yes.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. 3 million people alone, just by readjusting the work requirement.
Right. So let's
Yeah.
talk about this work requirement because that's something that's like talked about a lot when it comes to these cuts, the SNAP cuts and the Medicaid cuts. You know, the Republicans, in order to, they don't just cut the program and say, okay, we're going to make it, we're just take away funding from people. Instead, they're putting in place a program which will do that for them.
Right.
Right. And that program is a work requirement, meaning that people have to report to the government that they either have employment or they're looking for employment in order to continue to receive the cuts.
The frustrating part is that the majority of people that receive SNAP benefits are working. I mean, they're called the working poor for a reason, right? That's the reason that they have these benefits, because their income alone isn't enough, right, to cover costs. I mean, that's why they have supplement, right? But I mean, in the 1990s, there was this the Republicans demonized, right, the welfare queen, right, and it was usually shorthand for African American women, right, who leached off the system. The new 2025 welfare queen is not that anymore. It's, from what I've been hearing, it's 29-year-old gamers that live in their parents' basement who collect unemployment and food stamps and who refuse to get back to work, right? And it's very interesting that that's been the shift. But yeah, I mean, yeah, but it's the same playbook, right? Playbook of drawing up a straw man and presenting it to the rest of America and saying, do you want your money to go to these undeserving people, who leech off the system? And it's a mischaracterization of the majority of people receiving these benefits. The majority of the people, are working, have families, right, have kids, and yeah, putting these benefits on the chopping block or even in doubt for a lot of these people is going to be, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be these are austerity cuts in a rich country that doesn't need austerity cuts, and these are it's just cruel at this point. It's cruelty, and
I mean, the image of the like basement dwelling gamer that is collecting Medicaid checks, like on one hand, I'm like, wow, like there's some progress there. Like no longer is it a black or Latino woman. It's like, some, racially ambiguous young man, which I think it should not be maligned in this, for at least for this, but maybe there's some progress in that straw man.
When it's not that straw man, it's illegal families, right? Or
we'll get to them in a second. Okay, wait your turn, Anthony.
Sorry, so sorry. No. Yeah, but it's interesting that has now entered the straw man, pantheon.
Yeah. So
also part of this big beautiful bill, I think, is $40 million for Trump's Garden of American Heroes, which I need to read more into because he really wants to do this. And
I'm guessing this is like some kind of. This is my first time hearing about this.
No.
It's like a national
this is
mall.
100% real. This is 100% real. I don't know if it's like a theme park that he wants to build, or I don't know. I don't know. It's like, but that's what he wants to call it, a Garden of American Heroes. And I'm guessing it's.
Is it going to be like a national monument?
I don't know.
On the mall that like basically is just like pictures of him.
Pictures of him and his families, yeah. And Kid Rocking, I don't know.
Very interesting.
Makes the cut, yeah.
But going back to this new age welfare queen, like basement gamer, like there's no way as a basement gamer you can like pick up a Medicaid check. Like Medicaid doesn't send you checks, right? Like it's not like you're sitting in the basement like collecting this money from the government, like this stupid government. Like the only time you get money through Medicaid is when you show up to like the hospital and you're like, oh shoot, I guess I drank too much Mountain Dew and now I'm pre-diabetic, like
right. And now I have gout,
yeah, please give me.
Right.
But it's not like these people are just sitting around collecting money, and the idea that that's what they're doing and that's how we're going to save the money is ridiculous. Like the only time the government is going to save money through these Medicaid checks is when people need health care
Right.
and they don't get it.
And since we're on the topic of healthcare, and look, I don't know if we've said it on this podcast before, but it is insane that we are the only country that doesn't provide health for all of its citizens. That's insane that we tie it to employment. I mean, every other developed country can afford to do it and prioritize it. But here, it's comes with this idea that you know your value as a human being, right, is tied to the level of services or goods that you produce into the economy, right?
Yeah.
And I mean that is an American. I don't think it's a Republican value. I think that's an American value, and it makes its way into policy like this, right? And if you're not deserving of it, and of course, who's in the White House gets to decide who's deserving, right? Then yeah, you get you don't get it even if you can't afford it. But yeah, like there's no way we
Yeah.
should be having this discussion anyway. Like there really should be, and we all laughed at Bernie for suggesting it. I myself included.
Well, not all of us.
Okay, shut up. But no, that was the way to go. I mean, they can't attack Obamacare's, but they'll do the next best thing, right? They'll make it hard for people to get the help that they have a right to.
Yeah. I mean, so they're trying to get they're using these work requirements to get folks off of Medicaid. The work requirements are there because it sounds good on paper. It sounds good in theory that if you are going to get benefits from the government, then you should at least be contributing to society, right?
Mm,
And the simple fact is that like the vast majority of people on Medicaid, the vast majority of people that are on SNAP are working. Like if they're not working, it's usually because they have a good reason not to work, right? These programs don't provide enough government assistance for you to survive without working, right? You cannot survive in this country just off of SNAP. You cannot survive in this country just because your Medicaid covers your bills, right? So most of the people on these programs have huge incentives to work. What this does do is creates more paperwork so that people who are working and rightfully deserve these benefits get lost in the shuffle. Like they
totally,
get flooded with paperwork, they
totally.
miss their deadlines, they mischaracterize something, and then they get dropped. And then once they get dropped, they start to fall behind
Right.
and end up in the cycle of poverty. So that's really what we're talking about here when we're talking about these work requirements and I think that a lot of lay people don't understand like how these cuts and how these work requirements work. Like they don't just
Mm-hmm.
say, okay, a bunch of people aren't getting it anymore. They just make the process for getting these benefits so onerous that only, you know, only people with a little bit more time and organizational capacity get them.
Right.
So those are those cuts. I think that when I look at this MAGA bill, like it is bills and budgets are about priorities,
Mm-hmm.
about who the people passing it prioritize and like who they care about. And they're putting their money where their mouth is, like right here. And we can see very clearly like the people they care about the most at the very top are the top 10% of the country. Like they
Right.
are the ones that are winning the most in this bill, right? They're getting just these astronomically huge cuts, tax cuts, historically speaking. Uh, they throw a little bit of a bone to like the people in the middle and the bottom in terms of tax cuts because they that's like the spoonful of sugar that makes the medicine or the poison, I guess in this case, go down, right? And then the people they freaking don't like are the people at the bottom on
Right.
Medicaid
Right.
that need food assistance. They don't like, they're like, F those
Right.
people. We don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, not even like, if you listen to people like JD Vance or like other people talk about it, it's not like they're like, well, we hate these people. We got to kick them off Medicare. They're like, these people are irrelevant. What we really want to do is we really want to give these tax cuts to the rich. But these people just
Right.
happen to be the only way we can get the money. So, sucks to suck. Like, you're going
I
to lose out.
mean, yeah, yeah. They don't
And it's
cut.
sort
They
of
don't.
like,
Yeah.
mhm.
No,
It
no,
comes
no.
from
Like,
like almost a place of indifference
right,
as much as malevolence.
right, right. Yeah, that's coming from the Pope killing Catholic vice president. You know.
Yeah.
Do unto others. Yeah, and these is the only reason it
Mhm.
passed, right? Because it was 51-50.
Yep. Yep.
So talk about like democracy. Like I mean everything in this administration is just eking through. You know, but again, it's enough, right? It's enough,
That's enough. And
and
elections matter. This is what
yeah,
happens when you lose
hmm
elections.
right. It
Like,
is, and I do think I think it's no secret that you and I live in California, right?
mhm,
And there's a lot of talk about California shielding, you know, um, CalFresh, right, which is our version of food stamps, right?
mhm.
Medi-Cal, which is our version of Medicaid, um, supplementing it. But I mean, Gavin Newsom recently made a move to remove undocumented people from becoming eligible for these benefits. Probably because he wants to run for president, right?
Mhm.
And it makes sense politically, but again, it's that cold calculus, right? Of this will make me look good on while knowingly taking food away from children, and medical care from children. So it's not like this is a Democrat, I mean, Republican only sort of. It's politics, and yet this is the world we live in now, right? The world of lesser evils, you know, and definitely, if you want to live in, we live in a bubble here, and I think we're going to be insulated a little bit from these cuts. Obviously, the EV
Mhm.
stuff, um, I think that's going to hit California pretty hard. We have pretty high standards for that. Yeah, we'll see what happens. And
Well,
when do you think we're going to see these effects? Like next year, in 2 years?
I think that for the Medicaid cuts, they have been scheduled to go into effect after the midterms.
Mm,
So
mm,
in next year,
mm,
after November, after the Republicans try to hold on to their seats.
mm.
So people won't be feeling it yet, right?
Right.
And
And
I want to go back to a
the
point that you made
economy. I
about.
mean,
Mhm.
oh no, 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 go, yeah.
I was going to say, one of the things you were saying about us being insulated, I think it's about 40% of childbirths in the state of California are paid for through Medicaid.
Mm, mm,
So California and New York are two of the largest Medicaid recipients
yeah,
in the country.
yeah,
And then you have
right.
some other, red states like I think Arkansas and Missouri or something like that are also big ones.
Mm-hmm.
Don't quote me on that. I need to relook those up. But they, a lot of people think, oh, this is just going to hurt red states. No, my friends,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to see it. You're going to see it all
Right,
across the country because these are
right.
huge programs. Like, they wouldn't be worth so much money if they were not huge programs and affected every state in some capacity. Um,
And it's the philosophy that the states should pick up the tab, as opposed to the federal government, which is old school Republican sort of belief. But yeah.
Yeah. Next, another one of their big priorities in this bill, after I think second to the tax cuts, that's priority number one. Priority number two is all of this money to deportation,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when you look at these numbers, these billions of dollars going towards deportation, I mean, they are like 170 billion
Mm-hmm.
just towards deportation is an insanely large amount of money. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
know that sometimes things get lost in the shuffle of like, oh, this billion to that, or 300 billion here, 10 billion there. Like, no, 170 billion just to deportation. That's like there's more money in this bill than for
Mm-hmm.
the military, right? Like, you're essentially funding ICE at military levels.
I mean, it's a Gestapo.
Yeah. I mean,
It's a private. Well, not private. It's a yeah. It's a domestic police force. To root
yeah,
out
I think,
un-American activity. And it's
right.
not.
I think that,
Yeah.
yeah, what they're, I think, trying to do with this money is not just to deport people in 2026 and 2027 and 2028.
Mm,
And I don't
mm,
say that term lightly or
mm-hmm,
conspiratorially. Like, what they want to do is essentially hire so many people and give so much money to this sector that
mm-hmm,
it has to, in order for it to maintain itself, it has to keep going back for money and keep finding, like, it has to make deportation a core value of the United States, right? In order
mm-hmm,
to justify its existence,
right,
right? Because if I hire 10,000 ICE agents today, those ICE agents now, their entire livelihood is tied to deporting people, right?
right,
They can't just decide next year, program's over, we deported 5 million immigrants or like 2 million
right,
immigrants, like we're done. No, they have to deport people year after year after year because that's your livelihood now,
right.
right?
Yeah, and deportation, unlike law enforcement, I mean, it's kind of difficult, right? I mean, that's why. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
deporting the obvious people, right? The people, you know, with criminal records wasn't enough, right? Deporting people in immigration proceedings, that wasn't enough, right? That's why Stephen Miller was like, go out to the Home Depots, go out to the 7-Elevens, go out. And that is so expensive, And ICE was running out of money already in this first wave of Los Angeles. So you're right. They already blew the bank on this one operation, which is why they needed 170 billion for it
Yeah.
to ensure that this keeps going. And yeah, it's you're right. It's not only a priority, but it's their method of doing it is 100% fascist. And we'd say that word a lot, and I say that word a lot nowadays. And what I mean by that is no due process, no judge, no lawyers, no. It's just expedited removals, and fear,
Yeah.
and that is what you know totalitarian is. That is what fascism is, right? This idea that get disappeared off the street, right? That didn't used to happen in the United States. This was the worst case scenario, and now the worst case scenario is fully funded. You know,
Yeah. I mean,
um,
this is the kind of funding where ICE is being funded at higher levels than the FBI or
mhm.
like the CIA.
Well,
Like
they don't
these,
like the FBI. Remember?
well, true. Yes, they don't.
Yeah, they
But
don't like the DOJ. Yeah, yeah,
you're looking at these numbers and you're just like, wait, so immigration is now a
right,
higher priority in this country than like, what the FBI are doing,
right.
what the
And look,
CIA are
I don't
doing.
want to. I don't want to always come back to this, but in California, in our Central Valley, right, we literally feed the entire world, right? I believe our agriculture is a 60 billion industry a year, right? And
Mm-hmm,
40% of that goes out to the world, right? Fruits, nuts,
mm-hmm,
And if if that gets disrupted, you know, what happens to the supply chains, right? What happen? I mean, it's about to be, stone fruit season: peaches, apricots, plums. Like, if there's, I say we do a general strike. I've always, general strike. Nobody goes to work, and let those fruit rot. And a box of peaches will cost you, I don't know, $30. And so you will have all these ripple effects, because a new workforce is not going to appear overnight. It can disappear overnight. It won't reappear. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't
Yeah,
think they're thinking
it
this
would have
through.
unconscionable
Yeah,
consequences.
yeah,
Uh, they. So to me, this kind of one of the scariest things is that with
yeah,
this much money going towards deportation just as a practice, that we're not going to see this problem go away just after Trump, because if they spend the money to start building the prisons, hiring the people building those prisons are going to want to justify their existence,
right,
right? They're going to want to justify their contracts. They're going to want to maintain their contracts. And that means that they're going to have a constituency. And those families that ICE agents have, like, they're not working in a vacuum. They're not just faceless stormtroopers like in Star Wars. They're going to have families and they're going to have friends, and those friends will want to make sure that their friends are employed. And so you're creating a constituency that cares about that money and cares to see those people continue to be funded. That to me is one of the very much worrying things. If that wasn't enough, there's these cuts to clean energy and solar, wind, tax credits, EVs. To a lot of us, the planet is an existential crisis. This completely sets us back. It's not the entire kits and caboodle. I think that solar and wind are now cost competitive. They outcompete natural gas, they outcompete oil, but they can't do it all by themselves because of intermittency problems, meaning that they only work at certain times of the day, right? When the sun is shining or the wind is blowing. And so batteries are a huge part of that. And this totally tries to defund the movement and switch to
right,
batteries to cover those intermittency problems. So this is just pure cronyism, right? Like, this is why, when I complain about the use of the word capitalism to define the problems of America, like, giving handouts to specific industries is not a
right,
tenet of capitalism. If you think
right,
that it is, go read the definitions of capitalism,
right,
right? That's just cronyism. That's just patronage, right? That's just corruption. No system in the entire world, socialist, capitalist, communist, can survive those ailments, right? If you have corruption in your system, it's doomed to failure, right? And this is basically saying we're going to try to not let the market decide which technologies we use to power our economy. We are going to actually try to subsidize the sources of fuel that are dirtier and more expensive just because we like those people.
right. America will
So,
be dirtier, more polluted, less prepared for natural disasters, less prepared
yeah.
for pandemics, which of course all of those will increase as the planet gets warmer.
Hmm. Hmm.
We'll be less educated, we'll be hungry, we'll be less diverse, but at least we're on our way to Mars, you know?
And
Yeah.
at least the rich have more money.
Yes. Oh, of course.
It's
Yes.
I think so if we're going to try to steel man the GOP, the Republicans, what are they looking at in this bill and they think is great? Well,
Mm,
they think immigrants are the cause of like a bunch of problems. So okay, that's great. Uh, all of this money going to the rich, if you ask them, they justify by saying that it's going to promote economic growth, right? And so what Republicans traditionally would ask for is like, if you do a budget and you have like, this is how much we're going to save, or sorry, spend, and this is how much we're going to save in cuts, and you balance those things out, then you have a balanced budget, right? Spending and then earnings balance out. But the thing is that like, if the economy grows or is projected to grow in the future, you're going to end up making more money than you thought you would, right? And so they always want to do something called dynamic scoring, which says that like, okay, if we make tax cuts, it's going to grow the economy by a certain amount, and that means that we're going to actually make enough money to offset the cuts. And when they asked to do I think they sent it to the CBO and did the dynamic scoring for this bill, it
Is this
actually came back
yeah,
negative
right.
because the CBO projected that like interest rates would go up and that all sorts of
Great.
the cuts would not project the amount of would also harm economic growth. So it ended up costing more with dynamic scoring. So even when you're thinking in your mind, okay, well, it's going to grow the economy, that's what all these tax cuts are about. Like the expert economists that review these policies don't see that in the economic modeling, right? So you're actually asking for like some kind of economic miracle. Keep
Mm-hmm.
in mind that it's not that we're just putting in place new tax cuts. We are taking the tax cuts that are in existence right now and just
Right.
extending them indefinitely, right?
Right.
So you're not looking at like some new boom that's going to happen after this bill passed. It's just the status quo is going to continue, which is like, what are we growing at? Like 2.8% or something like that. Like, okay, it's fine, it's good, but that's not gangbusters. That's not going to offset some
No,
kind of
no, yeah. And yeah.
astronomical deficits.
Yeah, and wait till your unskilled workforce is scared away, you know? Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
nothing in this bill, you know, gives me, any reason to think, you know what, this will grow. This will grow the economy. This is what we needed. This is a shot in the arm we needed. Um,
Yeah.
but I think it's, will it grow until November? And that's sort of the calculus, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
True.
think, how do you think the Democrats should, because they stood united against, they at least stood united against the bill, but they just didn't have the votes. So we need what, two votes, two seats in the Senate, right? How many votes in the House? So the midterm is gonna matter. Um,
Yeah, it's definitely going to
hopefully,
matter.
yeah,
I think that you know, I was caught in this. I'll be full disclosure, and don't judge me for this, listeners, Anthony. But I was caught in this Schadenfreude with this bill, where I really hated everything in this bill. Like
right,
it's just so astronomically bad. But this is the part where like the rubber meets the road, right? Like this is the part where we figure out what kind of like that elections have consequences,
right,
right? I think that, you know, during Trump's first term, he said he was going to do a lot of things and ended up just not doing them, because the Democrats stopped, the deep state stopped him. He just didn't know what he was doing as much as he does now. His staff didn't know as
mhm,
much what they were doing as they now. So this time around, he came prepared to do all of this stuff. Well, now he's doing it. And now we're like really gonna figure out like what's the juice, right? And it's not good. And I think that for so long, his folks have been able to skate by on the fact that they've done absolutely nothing, and people haven't really understood the consequences of voting for this kind of behavior. But now we're going to figure it out, and the only silver lining I can see is that I always used to say that the Democrats don't need to figure out what their agenda for 2028 is going to be. The Republicans are going to figure it out for us, right? This bill figures it out. Like
right.
this is this is pretty clear what you should be running on, in my
Right.
opinion, right? Like, if we're not running on the fact that, like, 14 million people lost their health insurance, I don't know what we're doing.
Right.
So to me, th- this bill should be our Obamacare.
Well, yeah,
And
the
you know what
Trump
I mean by
the
that.
Trump no care, yeah. Trump does not
Exactly.
care bill. Yeah.
When Obama passed Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, right? Republicans branded Obamacare, and they took back the House and the Senate, and they didn't give it up for 6 years
Hmm.
of his presidency. And then, it gave them two extra Supreme Court justices.
Right.
They got to ride it for, until basically now.
Yeah.
They still held on to at least one of the houses,
Yeah,
right? And
I
then,
mean, it is sort of the opposite of it, right? Like Obamacare lifted, millions of people out of poverty. This is sinking more people into it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if Democrats can't figure out a way to brand this bill and run on it and use that to take back the House, the Senate, the presidency, like, I don't know what we're doing. Like, we've lost all concept of how to win at politics because this is so bad.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's
So
right.
for me,
But
oh, I promised. Mhm.
New York City has a new mayor. Well,
Well, probably.
it's gonna have a new mayor.
Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah,
Let's wrap up with a little bit of conversation about,
democratic socialism. Yeah.
yeah. What's your take on Zorhan,
I mean,
Anthony?
honestly, breath of fresh air in these troubled times. I think it's going to distract Trump
Give us a summary of
into.
what happened in New York,
Yeah,
real
yeah.
quick.
So this I think he's 33 years old. He used to be a DJ, and he beat a former governor for the biggest city in America, or the most important at least, and did it on a bunch of for the people democratic socialist promises, right? Free buses for everybody, other things.
Freeze the rent.
Freeze the rent. That's right.
He
That's a big
promised
one.
to freeze the rent, free
Right.
buses. Hmm.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see how. I think it's going to distract Trump into sort of, fighting with this mayor. I think he does represent uh, maybe the new playbook for the Democrats, maybe not run away from that wing of the party, maybe incorporate that wings in a better way. If it can win in New York, it might be able to win in other places. And there is so much, there could be so much anger fomented against this status quo, against this administration. This could be the backlash that we need, you know?
Hmm.
You know,
You know,
I,
I think my hope and optimism with Zorhan Mamdani is very reminiscent of my hope and optimism with Alexandria Ocasio Cortez, but
mhm,
also mirrors my fear and reluctance with them both, which is that these people are great in New York and maybe in California, and love that they're there,
right,
and they might not be good everywhere. And we should be prepared to accept that perhaps, I'm not saying assuredly so, but if you have these, progressives bring a lot of energy and this bold vision to the party and to the country, and I think they should run on those platforms and when they can win. And if they don't, we should accept that sometimes what works in New York doesn't isn't the same thing that works in
No,
Tennessee
I don't know. I don't know.
or Kentucky.
It's a new America, you know, and it's gonna be a new America in the next couple years. And the drawing lines, not the drawing lines, but the starting lines have been rewritten. You know, I think again we're gonna be hungrier, poorer, more scared, um, you know, more divided, and so yeah,
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I'm
yeah,
not saying that they should stay in New York and not leave. I'm just saying that let's not decide that what happens in New York is going to be necessarily what works everywhere, right? Like if we have a primary and the most progressive candidate doesn't win, it might be also because like the country is not united behind their message.
right,
I think that, there's too often it gets reduced to like, this fight between the establishment versus the anti-establishment. And I don't think that voters care who the establishment character is. They just like Andrew Cuomo is not someone that a lot of like, you know, traditional Democratic voters in New York like. They're like, this guy had a
right,
sexual assault scandal against
right.
him. He
15
had
sexual assault
like
students.
exactly sexual assaultees against. He had a ton of baggage, and Zohran Mamdani beat him, and the media plays it up like it's the establishment um, versus the anti-establishment. And I'm like, Andrew Cuomo's not a great candidate. Like, yeah, he has connections in history, and that can carry you a long ways in sort of getting started in a campaign. But a lot of times people look at a candidate like that, they're like, please just give me any other option.
Right,
Right.
right, right,
And I think Mamdani is an extremely good communicator. I think he's like really smart in what he did. And I'm glad that New York will hopefully have a better mayor than Andrew Cuomo, Eric Adams. I just don't think that like I look at Andy Bashir and go, this is the future of the Democratic Party. I also don't
right.
look at Zohran Mamdani and go, this is the future of the Democratic Party.
It's the future of
Right.
New York.
But it's the future of New York. And I'm happy
Yeah,
for New York. Right.
yeah,
I don't even look at, we're in California. I don't look at Gavin Newsom and think
right.
this is the future of the Democratic Party. Like,
He's trying very hard to position himself.
do I think any three of those guys could run for, president and win?
Hmm.
Especially in a post-Trump world where, as you said, we're poorer, we're hungrier, we're angrier. Sure, I think any of them could win. I just don't necessarily think that one or two elections means that everything has changed. I think we're still very much a divided party. I think we're still very much looking for who is going to be the face of national leadership for the Democrats in a couple. And it's not going to happen until we have a primary and fight it out and decide. But I know that whoever it is has to be laser focused on all the ways that this bill has decimated the
Yes,
country.
yes,
Like, this bill will have
yes.
so many impacts to the country that there's no way we won't be able to talk about it. And whoever fails at talking about it does not deserve to be elected, right? I mean, one thing that Mamdani did beautifully is he focused on his message of affordability for New Yorkers all the time, right? Throughout his whole primary. That's the kind of focus that wins elections, regardless of whether you're progressive or moderate or like whatever your political stripes. That, focus and messaging is what we need. That's the only thing the Republicans have is freaking marketing.
Right,
They don't have ideas. They don't run on ideas, but they have really good marketing.
right, right. And yeah, hate. You know,
Yeah.
hate is pretty powerful. Hate is a pretty powerful motivator.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Mhm.
put this in back when I'm talking about the parts about the mega bill, but uh, there's this part where of the mega bill that's talking about the rural hospital fund. So the
Mhm.
rural hospital fund creates a fund to fund rural hospitals because basically when you cut Medicaid for a bunch of poor people and a bunch of poor people can no longer go to the hospital, then the rural hospitals that are providing medical care to those poor people and rely on them as customers start to go out of business. So not only are you defunding hospitals for people on Medicaid, but you're also defunding rural hospitals for people with regular health insurance,
Mm.
right? With private health
Mm.
insurance. So there's a cascade effect to defunding Medicaid that actually
Right.
makes health worse for everybody
Right.
just because you made it worse for millions of poor, low income Americans, which to
Right.
me is like incredible. And so to prevent that, they are going to create this rural hospital fund to fund some of these rural hospitals because they can't get customers. So they can sit on their behinds and do nothing rather
Mm.
than just provide medical care to the people that need it. Like, what are we doing here?
Right. No, I know. I know.
Yeah, I know you know, but maybe some of our listeners would like to just appreciate the depth of the horrors that
The irony, yeah. It sort of reminds
yeah,
me of, we already mentioned this once, but the pools, right? And the barring of African Americans from pools, so they just fill in the pool.
yep.
Yeah.
Here we are back again. The
Hmm.
pools.
Yeah.
I think it's such a good metaphor.
Yeah. No, it is. It is. And I mean, in a roundabout way, yeah, like the same goes for deportation. Like on the one hand, yeah, it sounds tough, and for his base, it feels right, you know. But it is a huge shot to the foot, you know. And there's actually been huge outrage, right, in the valley. Like, California is sure it's a blue state, but the valley is red. The valley is deeply red.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And even in the valley, the people that voted for Trump are outraged, right? That he would even dare think to go after their workers, you know, because it doesn't fit into what they were told, right? They were told it
Right.
was going to be the bad hombres, right?
Yeah.
They were told it was going to be, but, surprise, surprise, it's been revealed that, yeah, he views every single person, right, who comes from south of the border as a bad person, as,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as a rapist, as a murderer, I think at one point he said calves the size of cantaloupes for some reason. like strong, able-bodied men. It's a little sexual too, but who come in, and it's a dog whistle to, they're going after your daughters, they're going after your wives, hide your daughters, hide your
Mm-hmm.
wives from these invaders, right? And we are now going to fund an organized military against them. And then again, you're
Mm-hmm.
right about the whole Schadenfreude. Like, the Democrats have been having the slogan defund ICE, defund the police, right? And guess what? That did not work. That didn't work at all, right? This worked. This election worked. And it went completely against that. It's funding for ICE, you're right, on a level that we've never seen before. And I guess we're going to have to wait a year or two to see the benefits of this disastrous maggot bill, right? But yeah, you're right. I think it's bound to fail, and it's bound to be profoundly deep, deep wound to our country. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, the Democrats have to play, the "we told you so" in a brilliant, brilliant way,
Yeah.
um, to sort of get out
Yeah.
of it. Which again, not holding out any hope for that. Um, which is why I think the election of the mayor in New York was such a bright spot, because finally there was something,
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Also, he
Well,
can't run for president because he was born in Uganda, I think. So
Zorha Mamdani?
yeah, he was not born in the United States.
Oh, he was born in Uganda?
Yeah, some country like that. Yeah. No, seriously, look it up. I think it was Uganda. Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
what an incredible country we live in.
Yeah, on the one
You
hand,
never
yeah.
know. You never know where our politicians are born.
Yeah.
Ted Cruz is Canadian. Zorha Mamdani is Ugandan. Barack Obama is Kenyan. You just never, you can never be sure where your politicians
let's find out where
have
he's
been
actually
born.
from. I think that's from there. Yeah. So,
But I think that's good. We'll leave it there. Thanks for listening, everybody. This has been another wonderful podcast of The Elephant with my beautiful co-host, Anthony.
He was born in
Uganda.
And I was right.
You were born in Uganda?
No, he was born in Uganda.
Oh, okay, good.
In parents, but still.
Okay.
Yeah. But Uganda.
Yeah.
No,
I hope you guys.
Yeah. Stay chill out there, elephant people.
Yeah. Chill out. Stay chill. Stay frosty.
Yes.
Have a good one. Peace.
Bye.